Just trying to find the link here,
Sure.
because if you're
Well,
focusing in on this one issue today, we're talking about knife crime crisis, and I'm just trying to find out what the actual link is between school exclusions and knife crime.
It's one of the issues we're focusing on. The HMIB, the Prisons Inspectorate, recently said that when they visited secure training centres, young offenders institutions, 9 out of 10 people in custody, you want to make sure that education of the vast majority of children is not made worse by a disruptive child or a violent child. But also the Children's Commissioner and Ofsted have expressed concern about this issue of off-rolling.
Is Sadiq Khan truly a victim of discrimination, or is he using his background as a shield against criticism? The mayor of London's tearful interview on Pakistani television has ignited a firestorm of debate. But beneath the surface, a more complex story emerges. From rising crime rates to the controversial grooming gang scandal, Khan's leadership is under scrutiny. Are his claims of victimhood a distraction from the real issues plaguing London? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Sadiq Khan's recent emotional breakdown on Pakistani television has left many scratching their heads. The timing of this tearful display couldn't be more curious, coming hot on the heels of mounting criticism over his leadership and London's rising crime rates.
We're concentrating on knife crime. This is after a 4th fatal stabbing in the space of just 6 days. And there are now calls for the Prime Minister to put 10,000 police officers back onto the streets.
A number of things we're doing, notwithstanding the challenges we have. City Hall have funded a violent crime task force, 300 officers who are targeting high knife crime areas. By the massive cuts we've had in our police officer numbers, but also massive cuts in youth services and preventative services as well. That's why we're lobbying the Prime Minister to step in and take a lead in this issue.
It's as if Khan decided to trade his mayoral hat for a victim's crown. And the question on everyone's lips is, why now? Let's set the stage. Khan, the first Muslim mayor of London, finds himself in the hot seat of a Pakistani TV interview. Suddenly, he's not just the powerful politician we know, but a man seemingly overwhelmed by the weight of discrimination. It's a stark contrast that's hard to ignore. Here's the mayor of one of the world's most influential cities, claiming he's facing unfair treatment. The irony is thicker than London fog, but Khan's tears have done more than just blur the lines between personal vulnerability and political maneuvering. They've split public opinion right down the middle. Some viewers found themselves reaching for the tissues, touched by what they saw as a genuine moment of human frailty. Others, however, weren't buying it. Social media lit up with accusations of Khan playing the victim card, with many questioning the sincerity of his emotional outburst. Khan's background as a Muslim mayor in a predominantly non-Muslim city adds another layer to this already complex situation. For some, his tears represent the struggles of minorities in positions of power. For others, it's seen as a convenient shield against valid criticism of his leadership. It's a tightrope walk between representation and responsibility, and Khan seems to be wobbling. But here's where it gets really interesting. Could there be more to this tearful interview than meets the eye? Let's consider the timing. Khan's leadership has been under fire, with London facing a slew of challenges, from rising crime rates to the controversial handling of the grooming gang scandal. It's hard not to wonder if these tears are less about discrimination and more about deflection. Think about it. Politicians have long used emotional appeals to connect with voters and shift narratives. It's a tried and true tactic, especially effective in times of crisis. But here's the kicker. The effectiveness of such displays can vary wildly depending on the context and the audience's perception. In Khan's case, the jury's still out. While Khan's tears made headlines, Londoners are shedding tears of their own. But these aren't tears of sympathy. They're tears of frustration. The reality on London's streets paints a stark contrast to the promises made by its leadership. Let's talk housing. Under Khan's watch, the average house price in London has skyrocketed to a jaw-dropping £500,000. First-time buyers aren't just struggling, they're being priced out of the market entirely. It's not just about owning a home anymore, it's about having a roof over your head at all. The lack of affordable housing options has left many Londoners feeling like they're playing a game of musical chairs, except when the music stops, they're left standing on the street. But housing is just the tip of the iceberg. The grooming gang scandal has cast a long, dark shadow over Khan's administration. This isn't just another political hiccup, it's a failure that cuts to the very heart of public trust. The systematic abuse of vulnerable young women and girls has sparked a national debate about race and integration. While some gangs were predominantly composed of men of Pakistani descent, the issue involves diverse backgrounds. The question on everyone's lips: is Khan's administration genuinely addressing this issue or merely shedding crocodile tears? Public opinion on Khan's leadership is as divided as a split atom. Some Londoners are fuming over rising crime and social unrest, while others applaud his initiatives on diversity and inclusion. But here's the kicker. Khan's approval ratings have been bouncing around like a ping-pong ball in a wind tunnel. It's a clear sign that Londoners are conflicted about their mayor's performance. The Rotherham grooming scandal has become a focal point in discussions about Khan's leadership. Calls for a national inquiry have been met with resistance from some political leaders. It's like watching a game of hot potato, with accountability being tossed from one hand to another. The scale of the abuse in Rotherham has led to widespread demands for reform in safeguarding practices. But are these demands falling on deaf ears? Experts have pointed out that Khan's administration is facing an uphill battle in restoring public trust. The lack of transparency and accountability has only added fuel to the fire of public concerns. It's like trying to put out a blaze with a water pistol. Ineffective at best, and at worst, it's making the situation even more volatile. So, what's the solution? Some are looking to successful strategies from other major cities facing similar challenges. Increased community engagement and proactive policing have shown promise in reducing crime rates in cities like New York and Chicago. But implementing these strategies requires more than just tears and promises. It demands concrete action and unwavering commitment. As London grapples with mounting challenges, Sadiq Khan's tearful television appearance seems to be wearing thin on the patience of many Londoners. While emotional appeals might tug at heartstrings, they do little to address the city's pressing issues. Critics are rightfully pointing out that Khan's tendency to lean on emotive responses falls short of tackling the systemic problems plaguing the capital. The real victims in this political theatre, Londoners themselves. They're caught in a frustrating limbo between grand gestures and genuine crises. What the city needs now isn't more tears or impassioned pleas, but concrete solutions and accountability. The emotional well has run dry, and citizens are thirsting for tangible action on crime, housing, and other critical matters. It's time for Khan to move beyond the realm of feelings and into the arena of results. London deserves leadership that can transform empathy into effective policy, not just TV-ready moments of vulnerability. The clock is ticking, and the city's patience is running out.